be a short demo of the prototype we developed using the Hyperledger and IPFS. Let's start off with explaining the basic decision making behind the development process. We're using Minifab because of its simplicity and ease of use. We tried with the manual Hyperledger Fabric approach, but the small changes required too much comments and time, which disrupted our workflow. We're aware that for a real-world product, the manual approach is the way to go, as it's much more flexible and scalable. This graph on the right is quite a simple one, but it will visualize our basic architecture. So in the Hyperledger itself, we are storing a simple key-value pair, which is unique ID, which is generated, and a CID. The unique ID is not changing, and the CID is dynamic, so if anyone changes his address, for example, the CID would change, and we can update the Hyperledger, but we can use the same unique ID, and we can track his changes in that way. In the IPFS, we're storing the actual personal data, and the connection between these two is with a simple bash script, which have a few commands here. With the first command, we can initialize the IPFS with assets which are hard-coded. They're for demonstration purposes only. We can write to the Hyperledger Fabric, and we can create a custom asset and upload it to the IPFS. So it will ask for like a name and a surname and all the fields we have to fill in, and then it will upload it to the IPFS, and then it will return unique ID with a CID pair, which then we can add manually to the Hyperledger Fabric. We should implement possibly an automatic way to do that, but currently we haven't. Let me show you how to set up the Minifab network from scratch. So simply copy the link for our GitHub repo and clone it. In a specified directory, so git clone the link. And then you have to navigate to Glass Project, then Minifab Development. And here you can see all the necessary files. And if you navigate to Minifab Dev folder here, you will find a tutorial of how to set up everything. So firstly, let's check our Go version. I'm using this version right here. Everything above that should be fine. Then just simply copy and paste this command, which will get the Minifab to the latest version. And this one here would export the path. And after that, if we execute this one, it should set up the network using the spec YAML file, which is a custom one which we did for the names of the organizations and all that, and the whole architecture of the network. After this, you have to copy the strings from chain codes folder to vars chain code, but these folder vars would be generated after the execution of this command right here. So we have to simply wait for the execution of that one. Is quite a long one. Right here you can see how to transfer assets, how to add assets, how to delete assets. All the commands are briefly explained here. As I'm showcasing the Minifab and IPFS connection, I'll be following this tutorial right here. While this is installing, make sure your IPFS is up and running. You can see your version here. If you don't have anything in return, then you don't have IPFS installed. Simply follow the instructions in the IPFS website. It's quite a simple installation. It shouldn't take too much time. Then you have to initialize the IPFS with simple command like this, and then run it as IPFS daemon. Plus, if you're having any problems setting up the Minifab, feel free to contact us. We will try to help you with anything we can. Make sure your Docker is running and it's connected to the WSL here. Right, our network is up and running finally. Now we have to copy our custom chain code to the Minifab. Good. And now we can simply install our custom chain code, which we just pasted. That will take some time again. I'll speed up this one too. Now that's done, we have to approve the chain code. That should be fast. Then we have to commit. You can, as soon as you're ready with the Minifab commit, you can simply execute this command here. And make sure the IPFS daemon is running. We have it running here, so it's all good. And select option 1 to initialize the IPFS first. And specify a name for the first entity of the Hyperledger network. We can say something like entity 1. And then that will be the second entity, so we can say entity 2. And now it's printing the state of the Hyperledger. And now we can write to the Hyperledger with option 2. So make sure the Minifab is up and running. It is up and running. The new chain code is just installed. It is just installed. And the new chain code is committed and approved. It is committed and approved. So we can say yes. Nice. Everything runs smoothly. And now we can execute Minifab discover. So we can exit here. Run Minifab discover. Right. Everything should be fine now. We have the network up and running. We have it initialized. So we can query entity 1. So you can see that the state of entity 1 is this, which is simply the unique ID and then the CID. So you can copy the CID and go here, click on explore and paste the CID. Here we can see the actual data. We can transfer the actual assets with this command right here. So we transfer from entity 1 to entity 2, and we have to paste the unique ID. So let's transfer the first pair. So that's the unique ID of the first pair, and simply paste it right here and click enter. And now if you query entity 1, so yeah, you can see here that there is just one pair. And if you query entity 2, then we should have 3 pairs, and the pair is successfully transferred from entity 1 to entity 2. So here you can see that we have 3 pairs. So let's try to add an asset to the Hyperledger network using the script. It's start sh, right? Create an asset, so name example, address example, and some number. And then we have the ID CID thingy that we have to just copy, exit here, and then minifab invoke p invoke at entity1, and then we simply paste the thing we copied. And now if we query entity1, we would see the new thing showed up. So it should be the latest pair. We can then delete from entity1 the thing we just added. Simply copy the ID, and now if we query again, we can see that it's deleted. So more or less that's pretty much it. We can transfer assets, we can add assets, we can delete assets, we can explore the IPFS network using the CIDs. There is a cool way to explore the contents of the ledger using Minifab Explorer up, and then we have an explorer which we can explore everything in the mini fabric. It's really simple to start it up. I've tried starting it up on the manual approach, but I wasn't really successful with this. So simply click on this one and log in with the credentials provided. You can see the blocks, the transaction nodes and chain codes. You can see the channels, you can see the configuration, you can see the chain codes, you see the version of the chain code you're using, you can see all the transactions happened, you can see the blocks and explore the blocks. You can see the network configuration, you can see the dashboard and real-time transactions in blocks per hour. You can see that's the latest history. More or less, this is the main functionality of our project, and given the time frame and the complexity of the project, I believe we're quite successful with it. There's definitely more to do, and in terms of team organization, we had some problems and we didn't time everything perfectly, but I believe we made sufficient progress and we understand the basics of the Hyperledger. We would love to help you in anything in the future. So this is pretty much it for this demonstration. If you have any more questions, feel free to email me, and I'll be in the next meeting, so I'll be able to answer any questions. Other than that, thank you for your time, and I hope that was helpful enough.